What's up, YouTube fans? Today, we're going to take a look at the KO MP-44 action figure. This is unbranded. There's no brand name on the box. In fact, the box is just a standard brown cardboard, no markings whatsoever. This was sent to me by Nate Simmons. So Nate Simmons Toys and Collectibles. I buy a lot of my stuff from there, not everything. He's been out of commission for a little while, but he's finally back. So I'm so happy that he's back. So thank you, Nate, for getting this to me. So let's take a quick 360 on this guy. And no, it's not your screen. This guy is fully unpainted. He is not painted pretty much anywhere. So all the white is just white plastic. The blue is all blue plastic. The red is all red plastic. The only thing that is really painted is the face and the head crest. Everything else is a colored plastic. Sorry, these lights are painted up here, the orange lights. But other than that, everything is just a colored plastic. Even these feet pieces here are colored gray plastic, I believe. It may be painted, I don't know. That's hard to tell. But there's very, very little paint on this guy compared to the official. That was kind of the first thing I noticed out of the package. But that also gives the advantage of not having to be able to scrape the paint off. He does come with a lot of accessories. So let's take a look at the accessories. All the accessories you get with this KO MP-44. Basically, you get everything except for the trailer, roller, the drone, and the little mini human figures. Start off with the backpack, and here's the backpack. It is basically unpainted except for these boosters. Those boosters are painted that silver. And it fits just the same way as the original. It just has a slot there on the top. So you put this tab in there, and then you fold it onto the back. Like that. It's supposed to peg in, and it kind of does. It's pretty tight, so it's not going anywhere. And then you can take these blast effects, and these blast effects fit in right here. And they actually light up. I'll turn off my lights. As soon as you push them in, oops, they light up. Right? And they're actually lit up right now, so I'll just show you. Turn the lights off so you can see them. So there are the blast effects. That is kind of cool. You just push it again to turn it on and off. That's a neat little effect that they didn't have in the original. That's about the only thing I've found that is new or better on this version is you've got those light up effects. So moving on with accessories, we'll talk about his ion blaster here. And it fits just the same way as the original. We'll talk about this a little bit later, that panel. But it does fit in a tab. Unfortunately, it is a little bit loose, so it doesn't stay pegged perfectly. It's okay, but it just, everything kind of feels like that on this figure. Just a little bit on the loose side. You can take the blast effect, get that in the gun, and you can turn that on and off by pushing that in. There you go. There's the blast effect. You can also use his Energon axe, and this works the exact same way. You pull the hand off, you rotate this, and this is really tight, so just be careful with that. And then you peg that in. It doesn't sound very good, but there you go. There is his Energon axe and his gun. Gun is a little bit too heavy with the effect part. Just make sure you turn these off, because I don't know if you can replace the batteries on these or not. They look like they're glued shut. So make sure you turn them off after you use them. And the last few accessories are the alternate heads. So here are all three. You can see they're basically the exact same as the original that we got. You got one sort of season 1 or more rounded head. You've got the battle damage head from the movie. And then you got a season 2/movie head. The problem with these, they all have the translucent blue eyes. I'll try to show you a close up here. So it looks kind of darker in my camera, but they are the same translucent blue as the glass here, but because they're not painted, they don't show up well, so it just looks kind of dead on all three. And the other thing is, in the original figure, you would slide this head off. This one, it doesn't seem like it wants to come off. You really have to pop it off the ball joint, which I don't like because I'm not sure about the sturdiness of the ball joint. But there you go. You can put this alternate head on. Basically just get that back on the ball joint. Again, I'm very worried about these ears there. But there he is with that alternate head. And there he is with the battle damaged head. And there he is with his Starscream disguise, or I guess Starscream in his Optimus disguise, whatever. The paint on the head is actually pretty well done. Of all the faces, this one actually has the metallic eyes, which I think they did right. For whatever reason, they did the other ones with the non-metallic eyes. So you can see this one looks pretty well done. Alright, now we will talk about the main event, which is this figure. So, by the way, he does come with this battle damaged effect part on him. You can just take that off, set that aside. And now he is sans any accessories. I did try to straighten out these ears, but they don't really want to straighten, so I did the best I could on those. So you will notice pretty much right away, right out of the box, these legs don't really press and stay fit together. I have taken these and untransformed it and transformed it back, and it still does not want to stay. So it's just molding is not quite perfect. There are some fixes, and go ahead and watch Bots and Bits video. I linked in the description below, but he provided a link to TFW. There's a document that one of the users there created. It shows you how to do all the fixes. I'm not going to do all the fixes. It's just too much to do on camera. But I did the two main ones, which are the knee fix and the waist fix. I'm going to show you what the issue is, and then I'm going to talk about how you go about fixing them. You will notice there is some play in some of the joints. It is a little bit tighter than the MP-44, but still a little bit of play there in the legs. All right, so let's talk about the issues. The first one is this screw in his butt is just way too tight. It's over tightened, and what happens is you can't open up the ab crunch. On this one, I've made a change. So what you want to do is take that screw out. That took me probably half an hour to an hour because this screw was so tight. I had to try different screwdrivers. I had to loosen it. Tried to get some WD-40 in there to try to loosen it up. I really just couldn't get that screw. I finally got the screw out, and I was able to loosen it up and get that out of there. Once you take that screw out, that'll allow you to pick this up. And then what you want to do is basically shave a small bit of plastic, not a lot. So you can just take a blade like this, just run it along the edge of this little ridge right there. And that's just going to shave off a little bit of plastic, and you don't need a lot. You don't want to shave off a lot. You can always take off more, but once you take off too much, it's too late, right? And now you can peg this back in, and it sits just fine, and it comes off when you need it to. Well, should come off when you need it to. There we go. So that's the bottom one that should be released, and then you can release the front one here and get the whole thing, rotated. A lot of that's for the transformation, but it also allows you to do, the ab crunch, so you can rotate his waist. So that's the first fix. I recommend doing that. Just be careful how much plastic you shave. You don't want to shave too much because then that lock won't lock anymore. The other problem is these knees. So these knees have the exact same problem as the original figure. Unfortunately, they didn't fix it. In fact, it's maybe even worse. So here's the issue. So when you're rotating this knee, first of all, this has two ratchets. One up here. Let me get a pointer. So there's one up here, and then there's one down here inside of this joint. And so you're supposed to rotate the top one first and then rotate the bottom one. If you do it in the other order, you can break the joint. So what you want to do is hold here with your finger and put your thumb here and rotate. That might take a while. Just getting this to loosen up a little bit, that might take some time just to do that, right? Once you get that kind of working, then you work on the second joint. There is a possibility that this plastic piece is too large, this little blue ridge right there. Get in closer. So this little blue ridge sometimes is not big enough to fit in the hole that's going to go in this white piece. So as you rotate here, that blue piece ends up going inside his knee. So you may need to shave a little bit of that white to allow it to go in like that. Mine, it took a couple of tries of bending back and forth to make sure it could go in there, and now I can go all the way. Again, I'm still very careful because, I don't know, this doesn't feel like it's very robust. This side, I had a lot of issues. So what Bots and Bits suggested to me was going in here and clearing out some of this white plastic in the hole that this blue piece is supposed to go into. Unfortunately, that didn't work. So I had to do a little bit more work, and I basically had to take apart this entire, here, I'll open this up so you can see. I had to open up this entire joint in here, and basically had to take off these screws, open this up, take a look at the ratchet, and again, the ratchet was jammed up, so it wasn't ever going to rotate. So you rotate here, and then it should rotate on the other joint, and the little blue tab should go inside his knee. This one doesn't sound great. Right, this one sounds a little bit better. Right, sounds tighter. Just overall sounds like a better ratchet. This one doesn't sound good, and it's a little bit loose, but apparently that's how it comes. So as long as you bend that top ratchet, you should be fine. You shouldn't have any issues. You may need to shave some of that white plastic and or some of the blue plastic. But follow the tutorial on Bots and Bits video or on the TFW document. I'll try to find that document and post a link in my description. So that's a couple of fixes. There's some more fixes, and I'm guessing they have to do with these. These panels don't stay in. They're supposed to peg in. Basically, this tab is supposed to peg into here, but it just bends away, and it might be just due to extra plastic kind of all over the place. Little bits of plastic that shouldn't be there. And so to fix this, you're probably going to have to shave more plastic off. I'm not going through that effort because it's not essential. I believe the knees and the waist articulation are essential, you know, the ab crunch. So I didn't do that. The other one that they probably have on the fixed document is this one here. So this panel just constantly pops out. I believe it's just a tolerance issue, but it's supposed to tab in and peg it in there. But as you're playing with it, the hand is really, really tight. So sometimes this panel pops out as you're messing with it. You can see this one's popped out. So you're really just supposed to get this folded in and then tabbed in there. Just doesn't always stay. Right. Those are the main issues that I've found on this figure, and I fixed a few of them just because I needed to at least be operational for the review. So I would recommend you at least do those, do the waist and do the knees, and maybe even the arm part. But the other ones, you know, kind of up to you. If you're going to want to keep this figure and enjoy this figure, you're going to need at least those changes in order to enjoy it. Going down to the legs, you get an auto-morphing hip skirt there that goes inside. Sometimes it doesn't come all the way back like that. It stays. So you just got to open this up, push that down. It doesn't always push its way back. These feel a little bit soft. I mean, they hold, but they just feel soft. Like you don't really hear a hard ratchet in there. It goes all the way back if you lift this up. And then you just want to push this back if it doesn't come all the way back. And that's probably another fix they can probably do to make this move on its own. Now, one last feature, not accessory, but I guess it's sort of an accessory, is the sound box here. So if you open this up, you'll see there's a screw here. You can take that screw out. There's 3 batteries in there, LR44, so you can just put those in there. And I've heard mixed reviews on people saying their sound box doesn't work. Mine does work. There's a switch right there. Make sure that switch is pushed upwards. So it may be in the down position. So push that switch up. And then the button's right here. So it's got some, I guess, not so clear clips from the Japanese show. Or maybe it's even Chinese. I'm not even sure if that's Japanese. But then go ahead and hold this button down. And you'll hear that sound, and that means it's switched to the American version. So once you have that switched to the American version,
We are called Autobots. I'm Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots.
and I don't think these are the same clips. I think they've changed some of them.
To Autobots. Autobots transform and roll out.
There's a lot of Autobots.
Guess again, Megatron. Do you heal? Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost. One shall stand, one shall fall. And use the power of the Matrix to light our darkest hour. Until that day, to all one. We are called Autobots. I'm
So
Optimus Prime,
there's the full set.
Autobots.
There are a lot of sayings. A lot of them, most all of them have something about Autobots in them. But they definitely changed it. Those aren't the same phrases we had with the original version. So I don't know. Maybe they just went back and resampled. But it does work on my copy. So just make sure you have the batteries and the switch in the right position. All right. So that's really it for his robot mode. We're going to get him into his vehicle mode, and we've done the transformation on camera before. I have a video how to transform him, or if you want to watch, you can watch T-Man 978's video, my buddy, or you can watch my other buddy, Pick for Life, his transformation. But we're going to get this transformed, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, here we have the KO MP-44 transformed into his vehicle mode, and it doesn't go together very well. There are some issues. Some of the panels don't line up. The wheels don't quite roll, probably because of the misalignment. I tried a few different things trying to get it lined up. It just won't line up. So you end up with some wheels not turning here and there. It's not perfectly flat to the ground. Yeah, it's just not good at all. It feels a lot mushier than the original, so the plastic is a little bit softer. There's no paint also, so a lot of the fitment has changed. And for example, here, things are just kind of mushy. And again, without the trailer, you end up, this was true for the original, but without the trailer, you end up seeing all this junk back here. It just doesn't come together for me, unfortunately. So this vehicle mode doesn't really work well, but you can transform it. It's not the best. So final thoughts on this figure. Too many problems. There are too many problems. So I will be a little bit fair and say that most of the issues are due to the way this was made, the way this was manufactured, the materials they used, the hardware that's used. Almost everything is, I'd say 90% of the problems are because of the quality and the manufacturing process. But part of the problem is due to the design. The design of these knees is just poorly done, right? I don't think the KO could have fixed it. And I guess they tried, but it's still a problem. And that's kind of the rub with this figure. If you're going to get a KO, then it's got to be, as good or better than the original. My channel, I used to review KOs all the time. If you've been with me for a long time, you know that I used to review all of the Masterpiece KOs. I've since kind of stopped looking at them. I focus mostly on third party and Masterpiece figures, and I haven't really been looking at the KOs. But this is the first one I've looked at in a long time, and I can confidently say this is the worst KO figure I've ever handled. So if you are going to own this, I'd recommend not transforming it. It just doesn't seem like it's going to hold up to a lot of transformations given the materials they used. So highly, highly do not recommend this figure unless you're planning to kit bash or use it for, a throw around figure. At $90, it's not really at the price point of a throw around figure. You know, if this was more like 50 or 60, maybe, but at 90 bucks, you know, you don't really want to be buying something that's junk for that price point. But if you're looking for a, you know, MP-44 that you can mess around with, and, you know, it may break, but if you're less worried at breaking this or over the $450 version or the $300, whatever you paid for it, then go for it. Get this guy. Otherwise, I can't recommend this. So that's really it for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.